Oh, hello. You've caught me reading my favourite tome. That's right, it's the new Space Marine Codex. Ooh, yes. I'm sat in front of this roaring fireplace, swirling a brandy with my slippers. It's actually a hot chocolate. No, I'm not that posh. And no, this isn't Masterpiece Theatre. I'm not going to take you on a journey and read you a story. I'm not going to read this start to finish. Unless you have a month, possibly. I will rip through the rules, however, in a second when we get to the table. But straight away, let's talk a little bit about the artwork. So, yes, it's the war-torn 41st millennium. You know, it's pretty savage. Words like grimdark are used. So, you know, if you're a little kid and you go, Mummy, I want to play a sweet and innocent game, it is good fun with your opponent, but just the background is, like I said, a bit grimdark. There are orcs with their heads being stamped on, lobotomized criminals as servitors. If you're new to all of this, you're in for a treat. It's not as dank and scary as it sounds. The artwork is also glorious and quite heroic. And this is all about the Space Marines. So the Space Marines are genetically engineered humans. If you can call them that, they've gone pretty far. They are the best of the best. They're the best of what they do. And it's amazing. The artwork is fantastic. But we're not here just for the artwork. We will get to the rules at the table. Everything you need to know about Space Marines are at the front. So from your different chapters, from the Ultramarines to the glorious Blood Angels, not biased in any possible way. White Scars, Salamanders, things like that. And how to make your own Space Marine. So if you're doing a science project, this is wicked. You know, you can make your own Space Marine, and they tell you how to do it. A lot of the background about the big battles, the ones that really matter. That's enough of that. Let's get rid of my ugly mug, get to the table, and let's talk about the new hotness, the new rules, all the data sheets that you need to know about. Now that's better, isn't it? So, less ugly mug, more war-torn 41st millennium. Right, so like I said, gorgeous artwork, screamy skulls, and more glorious artwork. So, it is a lovely book. Like I said, it is a tome. It is a weighty monster of a book. And straight away, in the opening pages, you can see some quality miniatures here, mostly from the Indominus box, but I do spy a few extras in the background, which we all know about by now, like the Gladiator tank and things like that. And that's why we're looking through this book, isn't it? Check out the new rules for the new hotness. So, usual stuff. Chapter command, first companies, battle companies. Skipping through a little bit, we have a little bit about the Ultramarines and what wars they've been in. Blood Angels, Imperial Fists. So, we have fluff on the Ultramarines, Imperial Fists, Blood Angels, White Scars, Dark Angels, Raven Guard, Space Wolves, Salamanders, Iron Hands, Death Watch, and Successor chapters. So there is some great fluff in there. Oh, great fluff. I just seem to land on Blood Angels. What a coincidence. Don't collect those at all. Or love them and think they're the best ever. I mean, other choices are available, but no, I think Blood Angels are pretty wicked. So, Blood Angels specifically, yes, worked at that already, is my main love. Have not changed in the core mechanics for Blood Angels at all. So, I will be skimming over a few of the other chapters, but heavily picking up Blood Angels. So, glorious examples of painted miniatures. Vehicles that we've previously seen. Models for the Indominus box. And this was released quite some time ago by Games Workshop. Quite badly blurred. You know, the old potato camera they keep talking about. And yeah, we thought, no, they can't be Primaris bikes. That would be crazy, right? We all hoped, we all dreamed. It was true. It was true. And look, some more new hotness. Now, I'm hoping maybe in future they might release a bow version of this. But already it is looking very much like the Bow Predator and the Repulsor had a baby. So straight away that looks pretty damn cool. But yes, the rules. Okay, so they run through the Battleforge rules, the army rules, match play rules, which me personally, I do play mostly match play at local clubs and on the channel. If you haven't seen any of our battle reports, please check them out. Crusade Rules, which is basically an ongoing campaign which heroes can level up, you gain experience points, things like that. I'm really looking forward to getting my teeth sunk into that because I do like me some homegrown, own named characters. So my own Captain Smash, you know, was called Amoros before in our local club, and he went through a few campaigns and he has leveled up. He's even died once, but come back stronger than ever. But this is great. This is the new rules for Crusade, which I am seriously looking forward to. Some data sheets, which is basically what we're here for. So, revamp of the previous stuff that's come out from your old Marines, from your old Terminators, things like that. Yes, we've all heard they gain extra wounds, but there's a few tweaks here and there. And obviously the current stuff and new stuff to come. Then we have the war gear, points, and the rules reference as per usual. So it's laid out pretty much in the same kind of fashion as before, but rather than having just the poster boys, the Ultramarines, and a few little bits here and there for Blood Angels or Salamanders, things like that, like in the previous editions, things like that. This is less of a supplement, more of all the codexes wrapped in together. So they go into it a bit deeper, which I think is pretty nice. So making your own successor chapters there, which is wicked. So I have eyeballed a few of these, which are really nice. In a minute I'm going to shout out for the Emperor. I can't help it, because this is making me feel really like the Imperial's got it going on. Throughout lockdown, I spent most of the time painting about 3,000 points of chaos. Now I'm going to chuck it all in the bin. I'm back on the Blood Angel side because it's making me feel kind of patriotic. I'm welling up inside. Maybe I should go back to that fireplace, put on my slippers and my fake smoking pipe. But there's some great abilities here which you could pick and make your own, and why not? Right, let's zoom in and get to some wordy stuff. Okay, so here we have Chapter Command. What is Chapter Command, I hear you ask? It is how to upgrade your non-named characters, so they're just a little bit more epic. So here we have a little bit of a key, and it tells you what power, if you're playing power rate, or if you're playing match play, you can increase your captain or your chaplain and things like that. So on the left hand side, your captain could now be a chapter master for 2 additional power if you're playing power, or 40 additional points. That was an example, and here we go. It goes into the full layout article what that means. So we all know what a captain does, but now you can upgrade him to a chapter master. So you don't have to give him a relic, you don't have to spend CP before the game starts, it's purely points, which is great. Because, I don't know about you, but you got your 12 points in your 2,000 point game, and you soon burn through those even before the game starts. So I'm typically rocking about 8 points. If I started to eat into that even more, yes, you get a point back a turn, but you know, you're not going to have any CP really before the game starts. So I'm glad they've upgraded these guys. And it just seems a little bit more epic. So that nobody, alright, he may be a captain, so he's not technically nobody, but rather than just a generic captain, now it's going to probably encourage you to give him a name. Because he's going to be a chapter master. You know, he's going to be slightly better. So, you know, it gives you a few little Warlord Traits, Relics, a few rules here. For example, if you wanted to give him the Angel Artifice Relic, which is pretty awesome, it's an exquisite battle plate, apparently. It gives the bearer a characteristic of 2+. So that means their basic armor save is now 2+. So, Space Marine Captain, you know, it's a 3-up normally, now a 2-up. One slightly better, can't argue with that. Add +1 to the bearer's wounds and toughness characteristics. Amazing. So that alone sounds pretty good. If you're playing Salamanders, I know 2 powers that can potentially go off, making it another additional 2 toughness, which is nice. So if you think about it, this isn't limited to an Ode regular Astartes. It could be Primaris. Hell, you can even make your Gravis captain a chapter master and use that relic. So toughness 5, now toughness 6, Salamanders 7, 8, bit of Drake's Mantle. Toughness 8 is pretty nice for a Gravis captain. That's nice. And extra wounds, I'm not arguing with that. That is a nice mix. So things like that will stack really, really nicely. That's nice. But if you're looking at the Warlord trait here, normally you get 1 command point, 1 CP back in every command phase, beginning of your turn. Nice. With this, on a 4-up, you gain an additional 1. You can't argue with that. That is a pretty nice Warlord trait. So if you've got loads of tactics, you want to rip through all those command points. In my last battle report with Jonathan, I spent 9 points in a turn, which is a record for me, because I do like ripping through them. Probably wasn't my finest hour, but hey ho. So that just gives you an example. Here you have the Master of Sanctity. So the Master of Sanctity is really not easy for me to say. Master of Sanctity. Nope, still not easy. Right, so it's all about your litanies. So for me, I'm not great. Yes, it's a 3-up, you know, to perform a litany. How hard could it be, right? Well, with this Warlord trait, you get +1 to that, for example. So on a 2-up, that's pretty nice. Now, I'm starting to play a bit of Chaos, as you probably will know, and my Dark Apostle has got a couple little minions that can buff his version of a Master of Sanctity. So he's basically, his litanies normally go, it's not a litany, but it's the dark version of it. Normally goes up on a 3, but now it goes off on a 2. And these guys have the same thing, which is really, really nice. Master of the Forge, as you can probably imagine, that is for your Tech Marines. You know, you've got your Librarians, your Apothecaries, your Champions, your Ancients. All some really, really nice abilities. Now, I can go through these all day long, and there's some amazing traits, and things can stack quite nicely. Certain chapters more than others, but I do find the Apothecary for things like Red Scorpions or Blood Angels really, really, really nice now. So before, on a 4-up, you know, you can bring a model back, things like this. Here, how many times have you rolled a D3 and only got 1 on the result? Whereas with this, automatically heals 3 lost wounds instead of D3. So in that clutch moment, when you need your captain to have not just 2 wounds, you know, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. But here it says each time this Warlord is selected to return a destroyed model by a unit using stratagems, costs 0 command points. That's pretty nice. So we'll get to stratagems in a minute, but yes, you can return destroyed models. And before you had to heal, let's say you had a unit of regular Marines. Now they've got 2 wounds. Excellent, right? You lost a guy previously and there's a guy on 1 wound. Well, you don't have to heal that guy up a wound and then you can spend the stratagem to bring another guy back. No, you can heal your captain, for example, who's nearby, and still bring a model back with that unit. So then, obviously, there's still a model wounded there, but you don't have to heal it. Because I find a lot of times, if you had Terminators, things like that, you had to heal that wound before potentially bringing the dude back. That's quite a few points. Whereas now, you can spend a stratagem, bring a guy back, and still heal. So you can heal the unit, you can heal somebody else. So that's really, really nice. I do like my apothecaries. Right, okay. Stratagems. Okay, so a few stratagems are new, and a few of them have been tweaked. You know, transhuman physiology, you may have heard this online. Transhuman physiology now does not work for regular Astartes, only works for Primaris. So if you've never heard of transhuman physiology before, if you haven't played a previous edition, I will read it out to you. I hope you're sitting comfortably. So, use a stratagem in any phase when a Primaris, and that's the key word, Primaris, so it's highlighted there, unit from your army is selected as the target of an attack. Until the end of that phase, so it's any phase, it doesn't have to be shooting, each time an attack is made against that unit, an unmodified wound roll of 1 to 3, 1, 2, and 3, for that unit fails, irrespective of how many abilities for that weapon. So that is pretty cool. If the unit contains 5 or fewer models, this stratagem costs 1 CP, otherwise it costs 2. So if you've got a big unit of Primaris, it does cost 2 CP. But if you're on that objective, you need to hold that objective, and someone's trying to kick the tar out of you in close combat, or even shooting at you, transhuman is amazing. So you're only basically wounding that unit on a 4-up. So if someone's got strength 16 weapons, doesn't matter, on a 4-up. You know, it's crazy, it's great, I love it. So whereas previously it could be on any Marine, now it's only Primaris. Which, slight nerf, I don't want to use the word nerf, but it makes sense to me fluff-wise, and I like rules that make sense. Because, you know, they have got that better sinew, you know, they cross the Rubicon maybe. They are a lot tougher than regular Ode Astartes. Say Ode Astartes, Astartes are still good, people. I'm not knocking it. They got an extra wound all over. Love it. And some, you might recognise the names of, like Hammer of Wrath. Hammer of Wrath used to be ability for jump pack Astartes. Now it is a stratagem. Use this stratagem in your charge phase. Now, you notice I'm picking up things like this on Blood Angels. I'm going to be using jump packs. So, and I like to charge. Use a stratagem in your charge phase when an Adeptus Astartes jump pack unit from your army, because obviously there's no jump packs for Primaris at the moment. Unit from your army finishes a charge move. Select one enemy unit within engagement range of that jump pack unit and roll 1d6 for each model in that jump pack unit that's within engagement range of that enemy. So we all know what engagement range is now. For each dice result equal or exceeds that enemy's toughness characteristic, it suffers 1 mortal wound. So you've got 10 guys made it in to engagement range. Let's say I'm going up against Gaunts. They are toughness 3. So equal or exceeds. So I roll 10 dice, 3 ups, they suffer a mortal wound. This is pretty nice because I haven't even attacked yet. That's wicked. So I'm going to be using that a lot with my probably Death Company. I do like Death Company with jump packs. So there is some amazing stratagems here. Wisdom of the Ancients, I've always thought that was wicked. Using it a lot with Blood Angels. Generally put it on, because it's off of a Dreadnought. Generally put my Death Company Dreadnought up there and reroll my Terminators and things like that. So use a stratagem in your command phase. Select one Adeptus Astartes Dreadnought model from your army. So before, I believe it was only Blood Angels, but now it's excluding Wolfen and Death Company models. Okay. Until the start of your next command phase, that model either Rites of Battle ability, Tactical Precision ability, as below. So we could pick Rites of Battle. When an enemy chapter core, so we'll get into core in a minute, but anything that's highlighted like this is a keyword. So previously we saw Primaris, core is now a keyword. I might as well cover it now. So core works on most infantry models, so that's excluding servitors and centurions. Now I believe also dreadnoughts are now core. So when a friendly chapter core unit is within 6 of this model, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll hit rolls of 1. So that's what it used to be for the Blood Angels when they used to use it. So it's excluding Wolfen and Death Company models. So that would have been pretty brutal if your Death Company gets to reroll 1s. I don't think it's going to break the game. But, you know, Death Company do have a lot of attacks, so do Wolfen. And it's core units. So let's say you've got a Dreadnought moved up. You're going to select this. And this happens in your command phase now, which is interesting. Because you've got to think a little bit ahead. I used to use it because you could use it in your shooting phase or your fight phase. You used to say before you made the attack, I'm going to use Wisdom of the Ancients. It's still only 1 CP, so that hasn't changed. But now you've got to use it in your command phase, so you've got to think ahead a little bit. And the aura does not work on Wolfen and Death Company. So I don't think I've ever used it on Death Company before. I have used it on my Terminators, which is pretty cool. And I've even used it on my Hellblasters. If something happened to my captain and he got wiped out, I like to supercharge my Hellblasters pretty much constantly. This was great. Rerolling hit rolls of 1. So basically turns him into a captain just for that command phase. You can. It's pretty cool. I mean, so into the start of your next command phase. It's pretty nice because it says here, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, it doesn't say close combat or shooting, which I think is actually slightly better. You've got to think ahead because you don't know if those models are probably going to move out to 6 inches. So, okay, that is a little bit different. If I'm reading this right, it is slightly better, but you've got to think ahead. Or Tactical Precision, so it's an aura once again, while a friendly chapter core, so once again, Dreadnoughts, regular Astartes, things like that. Unit is within 6 inches of this model. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a wound of 1. That's pretty nice. So, if using Thunderhammers against Astartes, for example, you're wounding on 2s, that's pretty nice. You're now rerolling those 1s. Just as an example. So, do you want to reroll the 1s to wound, or reroll the 1s to hit? For me, I always like to hit. So I'll probably be using the Rites of Battle, which has, like I said, it has changed a little bit. That is pretty nice, slightly better. So it used to be a Blood Angels unit like ability, like I said, but now all Space Marines get control of this, and that's pretty nice. Because there's no requirements there. It says you can only use it on Blood Angels, things like that, which is really nice. So that is one of the stratagems I used to use for Blood Angels. There's only about 4 maybe I used to use out of the main book. So I'm glad they kept that in there. That's pretty nice. Order bombardment, usual thing there. That hasn't changed, which is pretty nice. Assault launchers. Okay, so assault launchers, you used to have these as standard on some of your Land Raiders. So not the last cannon Land Raiders, but the ones with the heavy flamers. The Crusaders. So the Redeemer is the one with the flamers. The Crusader is the one with all the bolters all day long. Now it costs you a CP to do it, which, to be fair, it was pretty good. I mean, not many times do you charge something with a Land Raider, but we'll go through it. So that used to be an ability it gets. Now it is a stratagem for 1 CP. Use the stratagem at the start of your charge phase. Select one Adeptus Astartes assault launchers unit from your army, and one enemy unit, excluding vehicle or monster units within 9 inches of that unit. So you have to declare it in your charge phase. Okay, so not in the fight phase, in the charge phase. So you don't know if this is even going to work. The enemy unit can either brace or duck for cover. Okay, so if the unit braces, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. Now previously, you had to roll, and I believe it was on a 4-up they suffer. So yes, it costs a point, but I like the fact that it is a point and you don't have to roll, which is wicked. Whereas before, it probably wasn't going to go off from my dice rolling. If that unit ducks for cover instead, then until the end of the turn, subtract 1 from the attack characteristics of the model in that unit. And, and that unit cannot fire Overwatch or set to defend. That's nice. So you've got a choice of more wounds, or you can't fire Overwatch, which could be a bit of a big deal, depends what weapons you've got, and subtract 1 from the attack characteristics. So there's not going to be many attacks coming from your Land Raider, for example, so you haven't probably got to worry about smacking that thing back. It's a bit of a desperate attempt, but it's nice because there's a bit of a debuff, you know, you can put up, or it does more wounds, and you don't have to roll for the more wounds, that just happens. But being D3, it's probably just the 1 more wound. That's nice. I mean, melter bombs, you used to have to pay for that. Now it's a stratagem, so I'll read that out as well. So there's the little things that have changed. You know, familiar words like assault launchers, you've probably heard of that before if you're familiar with the old editions. Now the stratagems, they are slightly different. I do think it's improved. I'll happily pay 1 CP to maybe debuff a closer combat attack unit, and then get another unit to charge it as well. Because that, let's say, Land Raider, is probably not going to kill something close combat. Even with shock assault, things like that, there's not many attacks on a Land Raider. Certainly no AP. So a melter bomb, if you played other editions, you probably know what a melter bomb is. So think melter, think bomb, you're probably not far off. So use the stratagem in the fight phase. When Adeptus Astartes melter bomb unit from your army is selected to fight, select 1 model in that unit. That model can only make 1 attack this phase and must target an enemy unit with that attack. So enemy vehicle unit, with that attack. But if the hit is scored, that unit suffers 2 D3 mortal wounds and the attack sequence ends. That is really, really nice. It's pretty cool if you've got like Vanguard vets and you've only armed them with chainsaws, but they do have a melter bomb. You know, probably not going to be the best going against a vehicle. I mean, if you're Blood Angels, you do have a +1 to your wounds, granted. But D3 mortal wounds, yeah, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. So the Hellfire shells, that's pretty much the same as it was before, and a few things like that, which is pretty nice. I mean, there's a few stratagems have changed the occasional word, so just watch out for them. Just have a good old read and make sure you're getting it right. So Warlord Traits, we've got a nice selection of Warlord Traits here. So, like I said, any Space Marines can pick these. So, when determining the Warlord trait for the Adeptus Astartes character model, replace all instances of character keyword
in that Warlord trait, if any, with the name of the chapter your model was drawn from. Okay, so you could have, if it was a Vanguard Warlord or a Space Marine Warlord. For example, Storm of Fire is an aura. When a friendly chapter core unit, so we discussed what core is within 6 of this Warlord, each time a model in that unit makes a range attack, an unmodified roll of 6 improves the armor penetration of that weapon by 1, which is pretty nice. So that could stack quite nicely with your doctrines. So if you've got Tactical Doctrine on, you get an extra AP. If you've got an extra AP there, that's pretty nice. I can see right now, Stern Guard Vets, pretty nice. If they drop out of a drop pod behind enemy lines, they normally have 2 AP anyway. They're in the second turn, they're in Tactical, it's 3 AP. And if someone's really difficult to get rid of, that would be pretty nice, and an additional AP. You can't rely on those 6s, but things like that is pretty cool. Right, so what we have here is specific Warlord traits. So you've got the Blood Angel, Speed of the Primarch. Just throwing Blood Angels out there. So at the start of the fight phase, if this Warlord is with engagement range of enemy units, it can make the first fight in that phase, which is pretty nice. I've read that in previous editions that, Mephiston had it. I love Mephiston. He always attacks first in close combat. The charges happened first, then that went off. So that hasn't really changed too much, I don't think. We have here Salamanders, Anvil Strengths, always nice. Add 2 to the strength characteristics of your Warlord. Amazing. That could be unbelievable, especially if you've got Thunderhammer, something like that. It's nice. Some nice relics going on here. So obviously watch out for any of those keywords. So then you can only replace a power sword with a certain weapon, things like that. Like ancient models only, standard of the Emperor Ascendant. I might as well read that one since I pointed it out. Add 3 inches to the range of the bearer's Astartes banner ability. So if you've got one that improves their leadership ability, things like that, it's an extra 3 inches to that. It's really nice. Each time a morale test is taken for a friendly chapter core unit within range, you can re-roll that test, which is pretty nice. Okay, Marines generally don't fail morale anyway, because they should know no fear. So they get to re-roll morale checks anyway. But that makes them super tough. So once again, if you want them to dig in deep on an objective, they're going nowhere, son. That happens. They've taken a load of casualties. They've got 1 guy left. Less likely to peg it, which is nice. And then bring the Apothecary up and just start bringing people back, which is pretty amazing. Tomb of Malcador. Good old Malcador the Sigillite. Librarian models only, so look out for those keywords, people. The bearer knows 1 additional psychic power from any discipline it has access to. That's pretty nice. But remember, you can, as per usual, you can only put relics on unnamed characters. Okay, so a Librarius discipline for your own psychic powers. It's pretty nice. So, like Veil of Time, No Zone, things like that have been there before. There's a few words have changed just a little bit. Right, okay, so yes, we have our litanies, things like that. Some chapter approved rules. Okay, so match play rules. A few things have changed. Crusade rules, so once again, like campaigny kind of stuff, which is really nice. I won't go into right at the moment because I'm heading mainly towards the, here any second, there we go, the old data sheets. Okay, so we'll rock out the old Angels of Death. A lot of models have Angels of Death rules, so basically it tells you they should have no fear. Yes, they no fear. So each time a combat attrition test is taken for a unit, ignore any or all modifiers. That's strong. That's very strong. So that has changed. So before, if someone had a butcher cannon array and shot a marine unit, marines take casualties, has a special rule with that weapon, it's -2 to the leadership as well. Now you ignore that. It's pretty tight. So you used to be able to re-roll your morale checks. Now you've got the re-roll ability on that banner back there. So is it better or is it worse? So you ignore the penalties, any of the modifiers. Okay. Marines are still difficult to get rid of, and when you're mainly rocking 5-man units, probably won't make much of a difference. Leadership 8 most of the time. I mean, if you've got someone nearby that improves that, leadership 9. It is difficult to get rid of the Marines, but hey ho. Bolted Discipline. So Bolted Discipline has changed slightly. So now the model Terminator or Biker, they do get it as before. Shooting model is infantry excluding Centurions. So Centurions do not have it if they've remained stationary. Okay. Shooting models within half range, fair enough. You notice there, Dreadnoughts do not get it. So before, Dreadnoughts used to have it. Shooting model targets from half of the weapons range. I mean, Dreadnoughts used to get it when they're miles away anyway. Vehicles that had it, like repulsor tanks, things like that. Don't think it's going to make too much of a difference, because in this edition it's all about moving up anyway, grabbing those objectives. So if they're within half range, they can still double tap anyway, but still. So there's a few little things that have changed. I mean, you still have your doctrines, so your Devastator Doctrine, while in the Devastator Doctrine, improve the armor penetration of heavy weapons and grenade weapons, which I always thought was a bit weird, because you don't generally fire a grenade in your first turn, because most grenades, especially handheld grenades, are only 6 inches. But hey ho, that's the thing. I mean, a grenade, in my opinion, probably is heavy, actually, to be fair. I was thinking maybe it's more assault, because you run in and lob a grenade. You're pretty close, but who's going to argue? A grenade goes off a pretty big bang. I would say it's pretty devastating, no pun intended. The Tactical Doctrine. So, while in this Tactical Doctrine, you can improve the armor penetration for rapid fire and assault weapons by 1. Assault Doctrine, everybody's favourite. Nope, just me. So, as you can probably guess, melee weapons and pistols, the AP are improved by 1. So, nothing there has changed. Right, so we have our captains on this page. So, you have your Primaris. So, it's pretty tasty. We have our Ode Astartes captain there, which has an additional wound, which is very nice. The Ode Astartes. And people were thinking they were going to write them out, weren't they? There we go. See, regular captain there. 5 wounds. Captain on the bike. It's always nice to see Captain on the bike. I will be rocking a Captain on the bike, probably with the new Primaris Outriders. I mean, he might look a bit tiny, but hopefully there's a Primaris Captain on the bike, maybe around the corner. So, it was rumoured this may be Legends in this edition, but hey ho. So, if you notice here, because all the codexes pretty much are wrapped into one, pretty much I say, occasionally you get the odd ability. So like Ravenwing. I'm not Ravenwing, but if you were Ravenwing, so if this unit's from Dark Angels, then you get specific rules, which is pretty nice. Like here, Primaris Lieutenant. It turns out on abilities, if you're Wolf Guard, you get an additional rule. So that's how they're wrapping it all up in one codex, people. So lieutenants, librarians. Do love myself some librarians. Primaris, a chaplain on a bike. Yes, that's right. That model looks proper biff, son. And I do have the model here somewhere. So I will be painting that up soon. Soon you can see him on the table. Blood Angels, bikes. Why wouldn't you have one? So that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. And you could always put those abilities that we're reading about earlier on your Tech Marine, on your Primaris Captain, or Chaplain, sorry. Okay, so the new Intercessors, new Salt Intercessors. So the heavy Intercessors now have better AP, Strength 5, which is very nice. They have Toughness 5, so a little bit more survivable than the ones we had previously, Toughness 4. But remember, if these guys are shooting a similar unit, Toughness 5, Strength 5, yeah, still wound on 4s. Strength 5 is always nice though, and that little bit of extra AP, very tasty. Company Champion, you didn't see too many of those about recently, so I'm glad that, you know, they're going to be there with their shields. So he's a 5-up invulnerable save. Could have had a 3-up, but yeah, too soon. Too soon. Alright, so yeah, there's a few little odds that have moved around. For example, what the hell are scouts doing in the elite slot? Well, scouts are elites now, apparently, people. So a lot of people used to take them in the previous edition to fill up CPs. Now, are people going to use them? I don't know. I do like scouts because they're dirt cheap as a marine. But if you notice, they only have 1 wound. So they're still going to be cheap. Got 1 wound. Maybe there's a place for them. I will try to make them have a place, because I do like them. Blade Guard Ancient. So this guy's banner is pretty cool. So basically has a banner that I used to make from a relic. So he basically add 1 to the leadership, which is nice, on a 4-up. You know, you do not remove a destroyed model, you can bring him back. And if there's Blade Guard within 6, and I think I'm going to be using some of those Blade Guard models from the Indominus box, they will stay around for a while, because they have a 4-up invulnerable, they have quite a few wounds. I do like AP2, they are pretty damn tasty. So, if they're within 6 of this model, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the character's hit roll. So, as boss and as elite as they look, they still hit on 3s. Whereas with this guy nearby, hitting on 2s. Very nice. So some Ancients there. I do like my Ancients. I really do. The only thing I don't own so far is an Ancient with Terminator armor. Yeah, that needs to change. Because people, you know, that Terminator right there, that Ancient, has 5 wounds. He ain't going to be easy to get rid of. So there's the Blade Guard Veterans. I do like the models as well. They are pretty damn cool. GW have done an amazing job with the latest releases. I mean, the Judicar, he looks so cool. He looks creepy as hell. He looks pretty much like the Grim Reaper. I think he's fantastic. You know, damage 2 pistol. It's pretty nice. Because it's Primaris pistol, it's range 18. It's pretty cool. So, if you don't know by now, at the start of the fight phase, you can select 1 enemy within 3 inches of this model. That unit is not eligible to fight in this phase until after all eligible units have done so. So you are shutting stuff down. That's nice. Reavers, really like the skull face models. I do have 30 of them. Really need to paint them all up and put them on the table. I just think they look cool. That's it. Rule of cool. So, things that have changed in this edition. Where is the rule about them shooting twice if they stay still? That's right, kids. It doesn't look like it's there anymore. That's pretty nice. So, what do we have here? Each time an attack is made with this weapon, subtract 1 from that attacker's hit roll. Yeah, I understand that because the gauntlets are basically power fists. But when shooting, each time an attack is made with this weapon, that attack automatically hits the target. That's for the flamer. There's no special rule about them staying still and shooting twice. Did they really need it? Especially if you're salamanders. And you've got the stratagem when you do mortal wounds on a 3-up. That's pretty nice. You auto hit anyway. You know, if you also notice, the flame storm gauntlets are now 12 inches. So if they were a 12-inch flame, they auto hit, they get to shoot twice, that would be broken. That would be mega, mega broken. Okay, so Terminators. Oh look, 3 wounds. Oh yeah. So yeah, you can put Storm Shield on these guys, giving it 4-up invulnerable save now. So 3-up invulnerables are gone for these guys. That is a big, big deal. I find that's going to be a big deal. But with an extra wound, maybe they'll survive just as long. But I do find with a 3-up save, you always think you're invulnerable, and then something comes along and you just wipe out a unit with a small handful of dice. Such is the fickle gods of the dice. Right, Centurion Assault Squad. Yes, it looks like Blood Angels can take these guys. Now, I know they're only movement 5, but I've got 6 of these guys, and I can't use them for Blood Angels. And I bought them, and I thought they were cool, and I've never ever used them. So, I think I'm going to have to put them on the table and see what they can do. Very, very slow. Of course you can't put them in the drop pod, but remember they have the assault launchers keyword, and we went for the assault launchers stratagem earlier on, which is pretty nice. So on their own, they are very slow, but if they hit something, it's pretty nice. Strength ×2, AP -4. You're hitting tanks, it's doing 3 damage. They're not getting a save generally, like regular road marine tanks, things like that. They do hit like a truck, and if you're playing Blood Angels, just saying if you're playing Blood Angels, you know, I'm just using that as an example. +1 to wound is very, very nice. I mean, they do have +1 to their advance and charge rolls as well. Speed 5 is really slow. And there's no transport is made so far they can put these guys in. I mean, they're pretty much in their own transport, right? Dreadnoughts. Right, there is a special rule with Dreadnoughts now. Right, okay. So, Duty Eternal. Each time an attack is allocated to this model, subtract 1 from the damage characteristics of that attack to a minimum of 1. So, someone's hitting it with the old damage 2 weaponry that's managed to get through. Oh no, it's only doing 1 damage a turn now. Which is pretty nice. You know, D3 weapons. Someone's rolled a 2. No, they're only getting a 1. Wah, wah, wah. And if it's me, if it's D6, I'm probably only rolling a 1 anyway, right? Good old last cannons. Always let you down. Right, so that I'm aware of, that's on every Dreadnought now. But they did lose the fact they can double tap from any distance with the bolters. Who cares when you have that ability? Fuck, it's ace! Love it! So a few things like that have changed. I think there might be a new lot of Dreadnoughts on the way, people. It's going to be Dreadnoughts left, right and centre. Right, so Outrider Squad. If you've seen Indominus, you've seen these guys. Pretty nice, they're 4 wounds each. I love my bikes anyway. And now these bikes come out, they just look fat. They look chonky. Love them. So, yes, sadly, that I'm aware of, you're going to have 3 in a unit. Okay. That's a bit of a shame. ATV squad though. So the new ATV has come out, people. Very nice, very nice. And it's a unit, so it's 1 to 3 ATVs. That's pretty nice. So, keyword, Biker, Primaris, Vader. Biker. Core. That's the difference. So these guys cannot get the rerolls from captain on the bike, for example, stuff like that. Even though it's biker, that's pretty nice. They're hitting on 3s anyway, so it's kind of reliable. It's marine reliable. I just think it looks pretty cool. If they put core in there, I think it would have been pretty broken. But just remember, if you had a unit of 3, 1 got destroyed, 1's left on 2 wounds, for example. You have an apothecary nearby. You can heal 1 up a little bit, and then you can also spend a stratagem to bring 1 back. At full wounds, people. I don't mean a little bit of healing. I mean full wounds. So you kind of want them to get destroyed, and then boom, rather than healing it, it's back. So make sure you kill this unit. Because 8 wounds, when it comes back, with 8 wounds, it's going to be massively, massively strong. So I don't see why you can't do that. It's Primaris. I'm pretty sure bikers can come back. It doesn't say solely infantry. Yeah, I think that's a thing. I think it's a thing. Yeah, that's going to be pretty nasty. So yeah, the bikes are still good. Still 3 wounds. If you've got an attack bike, it's 4 wounds. It's pretty cool. Scout bikes are... See, I've never used the scout bikes, but I do like the models. I think they look pretty cool. They look kind of Mad Maxy. I really want to get some and weather them up. So we will see. Inceptors. I do like Inceptors. 3 wounds can't really beat. Toughness 5 is nice as well. They do take some getting rid of. They really, really do. Suppressors. Haven't painted mine up yet. I don't know why. Because they're flying. They don't have an additional wound. I think maybe it's because they're not Gravis. Pretty sure that's probably what it is. But they still look huge anyway. They still have big fat boots. But, okay. So they have suppressing fire. So each time a model in this unit makes an attack with an accelerated autocannon against an enemy infantry unit, so infantry keyword. If a hit is scored, the enemy cannot fire Overwatch this turn. So little things like cannot be firing Overwatch, making stuff attack last, stuff like that can really stack up quite nicely. So make sure, for example, these guys shoot something like Towel, really good in Overwatch. Could be overwatching on 5s. Yeah. So, new hotness, new stuff. Storm Speeders. So you had Land Speeders before. That's pretty cool. Storm Speeder, Hail Strike. So excited. I think I nudged the camera. So what have we got here? Get rid of the shiny. We have Onslaught Gatling Cannons, which are always nice. Iron Hail Heavy Stubbers. They got a special rule for Raven Wing. If this unit is from Dark Angels chapter or one of the successor chapters, it has the Raven Wing keyword. And why wouldn't it? It's very Raven Wing. So Ballistic Skill 3 does degenerate. So unlike the old land speeders, which is here, for example, starts taking damage, does not drop down at all, but it is 10 wounds. Stop knocking the camera, Ross. It has 10 wounds, people, which is pretty nice. Toughness 6 still, but it's got a few more wounds, a bit more firepower, I think. So then you've got the missile version here, and it also has Last Talons, which are always pretty nice. So Storm Speeder, Hammer Strike, and this one here. Now, this is a big bunny. This one has all the missiles all day long, and it has a Melter Destroyer. So Melter Destroyer is probably a new weapon for you people. Range 24, Heavy 3, Strength 8 because it's Melter, AP 4 because it's Melter, D6 damage because it's Melter. Each time an attack with this weapon targets a unit within half range, that attack has damage characteristic of D6 plus 2. So before, if it was within half range, it was 2d6 picking the highest. Now it is D6 plus 2. So potentially 8 wounds, boom. Yes, minimum of 3. But, roll like me, you get snake eyes, you pick the highest, it's still going to be a 1. So I think a minimum of 3 is nice. It makes your attacks a lot less swingy. Also remember, if you're salamanders, you get +1 to wound with melter weapons, because it's salamanders. Moving swiftly on. Land speed of tornadoes, like the old school stuff. Hellblasters, still love Hellblasters. I mean, if you have Dark Angels, Hellblasters are even better. Still think they are a strong unit. Now remember, in this edition, if you supercharge, they only die on an unmodified wound roll of a 1, which is nice. Eradicators. Okay, so Eradicators from the latest box. Now, I've been going around since the last box, wrecking stuff left, right, and centre. These guys are fantastic. So, the Melter Rifle. So, you had the regular old Melter Rifle. Now is slightly better. Same rules we just read a second ago. Rather than 2d6 picking the highest, it's 1d6 plus 2 for the damage, which is pretty nice. Okay. They do still have total obliteration. In your shooting phase, each time this unit is selected to shoot, it has not advanced this turn. It can unleash total obliteration. If it does, select one enemy unit. Models in this unit can shoot twice against that unit. So there is a slight wording difference there. Not advanced, because it is an assault weapon. You could advance previously and do that. Excuse me. Now I have done that once. So it's not like it happens a lot, in my personal opinion, but it's there, which makes sense because these guys, yeah, they're in heavy armour, but they're running up with massive weaponry, giggity. In time they bear aim, shoot twice. You know, would that really work? It's like snipers running and shooting. It's probably not going to work, is it? Unless you're John Wick, then you don't care. But now they have the heavy melter rifle, so you can buy a heavy melter rifle. What I do find fascinating is you can have 6 models now in a unit rather than just 3. Unbelievable, because they wreck some seriously face. So, heavy melter rifle, you get 1 shot with it. It is the strength 8. It is the AP -4, but each time an attack made with this weapon targets a unit within half range, that attack has a damage characteristic of D6 plus 4, people. Yeah, you could do 10 damage. Could do 10 damage. But what I'm looking at is Mr. Glass is half empty. Fickle dice. Minimum of 5. Minimum of 5 is tasty. I mean, that's above average from previous. Definitely above average if we roll 2 dice for me. Which I think is wicked. Eliminators are still very nice. I love the models. I think the models are boss. Especially if I was playing Kill Team, I'd probably include 1 or 2 of them. Thunderfire cannons aren't quite as potent as they were before. Now we have the new Fire Strike Servo turrets. So, what you expect, the ballistic skill is slightly better because it's a Tech Marine. So Tech Marines generally are slightly better at shooting anyway. Like you see the ballistic skill here of the old Tech Marines operating the Thunderfire cannon, because they are great with technology, so why wouldn't they hit me on 2s? I mean, toughness 5 to be expected because it's a Tech Marine inside of a thing. So if it was on a bike like it used to be, +1 toughness. I understand that, no problem. But what I don't get is, how the flip does it move? It's got movement of 3, people. I think it should be a fixed thing, because it looks like it's a fixed thing, right? So, it's got twin accelerator autocannons. So, range 48, heavy 6. Pretty really want to move anyway. Strength 7, AP 1, 2 damage. I think that's a Marine killer. Yeah, you're wounding on 3s. Doesn't sound too impressive, but 48, you ain't hiding anywhere. Especially on a smaller battle map. Plus, first turn, AP2. Because of the heavy doctrine there. For the Devastated Doctrine. AP2, 2 damage. So, those Marines that caught out in the open in the first turn, gone. Hit on 2s, wicked. Or Twin Last Talon. So it's the Talon, short range, only 24. Still 4 shots though. Very tasty. Any number of models can have their Twin Last Cannons replaced with Accelerate All Cannons. Well, I don't know. I don't know which one I'd pick. D6 damage is always nice, but me and Last Cannons have a history. D6 weaponry. I'm rolling 1s. You know it's going to happen. Over here, we have the old classic Devastator Squad. Remember, extra wounds. So all those last cannons that you got, all your missiles, things like that, generally got picked off pretty early on in game. Now, possibly last a bit longer. 1 wound difference doesn't sound like it makes a difference, but it does. If someone's got D3 damage weaponry, rather than it auto kills it, they've got to get 2. Or obviously 3. And the old Armoured Cherub. Why people don't take these, I do not know. These Armoured Cherubs are fantastic. And they are dirt cheap. They're wicked. So, once per battle, in your shooting phase, after a unit has shot, a model in this unit can immediately shoot with one of its range weapons again. So, we recommend placing an Armoured Cherub model next to the unit. As a reminder, removing it once this ability has been used. So, they're not saying it's removed. It's not saying it's killed. Basically, you're murdering a cherub. If you can deal with that, people, I can. So yeah, I'm shooting something twice. Why not? I always take a cherub because they are cheap and you get to shoot a model twice, which is wicked. Because if you're using Signum, and you can boost a ballistic skill of 2 on one of these models. So let's say I'm using that team there, and last cannon, I want to hit on 2s. This is a D6 damage weapon. After they've all shot, I'm going to use the cherub to get him to shoot again. Then the cherub is killed. Yes, you've murdered a cherub. Well done. Achievement unlocked. Hunter and Stalker, I believe these things are now slightly better. Love the models, never ever seen them on the table. I do own them myself, and I've never played them. But yes, ballistics are still the same, the wounds are still the same, things like that. But what does make it slightly better is the Icarus Storm Cannon. So I have a Stalker myself. Each time attack is made with this weapon against aircraft, make 2 hit rolls instead of 1 for each attack. So you're actually firing 6 shots because you get 2 Icarus cannons. So 6 shots, hitting on 3s. So now it's 12 shots. Bringing those things down. So AP1 doesn't sound amazing, but remember, first turn, it's a range 48 weapon. You're probably going to start clipping those aircraft. So if it's super fast, yeah, it's -1 to hit. But, yeah, you know, hitting on 4 still ain't that bad. I play NIDs. Hitting on 4s is a good day. But remember, things like vehicles do not have keywords. So, way back when you can castle all your tanks up and have your captain nearby, just re-rolling those tanks, now only works on core units, people. So, long gone the days when you can have your Predators, things like that, at the back, re-rolling. Because I really like Whirlwinds. See, you don't need line of sight. I think they're really good. But now, you know, you're hitting on 3s, no re-rolls, mean dice. You know, it's still a dice game, whatever happens. But it does make more sense because if you've got a captain moving up with his squad and go, shoot better lads, you know, things like that. Or better words than shoot better lads. For the Emperor, for Sanguinius, I don't know. Something that boosts them if you don't shoot them, I'll kill you. Maybe. I don't know. I've never been in the Marine Corps. But yeah, I mean, you can't really shout at a tank. I mean, you can shout at the crew inside. Probably won't hear you. Maybe over the comms. I don't think it's going to make a difference. So I understand why they did it. It prevents castling up. And like I said, in this edition, it's about objectives. So castling up really, you know, might not be a thing. Right, so Predators are always nice. The Annihilators, things like that. Now, new hotness again. Ding, 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 ding. Gladiator, a Lancer. Right, so this thing is nice. It is wicked good. Because it's toughness 8. It's 12 wounds. And this is the Gladiator. So it does look very similar with its Laser Lancer Destroyer to the... nearly forgot what it's called. Yes, I did forget what it's called. Executioner, there we go. See, he's got the same turret on the top, but it's slightly different. So let's check it out side by side. This has got 16 wounds, this has got 12 wounds. So it does have a few less weapons, I believe, as well. Yes, it does, because this has only got the grenade launchers, the turret on the top, and the storm bolter. Whereas this can have talons as well, so it hasn't got the turret there, hasn't got access to the extra weaponry there. But if you haven't got the points, you know, that's 19 power, that's 11 power. That cannon's still nice though. So it does have the Aquilian optics. Each time this model makes an attack with a laser, the Lancer laser, add 1 to its hit rolls, which is the same as the Executioner as well. So Executioner's been around a little bit, but these are the new Gladiators. This is the new hotness. So hover tanks, right? Distance is always measured from the hull. So hover tanks used to have the, oh look, hey, it's gone, fly keyword. So it does no longer have fly. So long gone the days where you could stick it on top of a building, you could go over difficult terrain, things like that. And in this edition I find, I've played quite a few games at the moment, it's a lot more difficult terrain. So not being able to fly with a tank, technically it wasn't really flying anyway, it's just kind of hovering, so I never knew how people were getting it on buildings. Right, okay, so that's pretty cool. So this one's got the Tempest Bolter, which has AP because it's Primaris Bolter, and it has twin Onslaught Gatling Cannons, which is nice. I don't care about the rules, I just like the fact that they look mean. You know, I might do a conversion with a heavy bolter, sticking one of these barrels on it, just so it looks like the guy off a Predator. Yeah, you know the one. Sexual Tyrannosaurus. So it's twin heavy Onslaught Gatling Cannon. Range 30. It's pretty decent, especially when you're moving 10 inches anyway. So 40. It's heavy. Doesn't care for heavy anyway, so it's still hitting on 3s, which is just as well, because it's not core, people. Cannot reroll those ones. And it's heavy 24. Yep, that's a lot of shots. 24 dice, hitting on 3s. Strength 6, AP -1. Remember in the first turn it's AP -2, 1 damage piece. That is a lot of shots. I like it. Or Valiant, which my friend Ant's definitely going to get one because he's a Salamanders player. You can hear the bitterness in my voice. Because of melters, people. Melters are nice. So it does improve your basic damage if you do ham it up. I think they should do that with last cannons, but that's just me. Saying that, a melter, I always thought was quite a wide blast. Not so much range as a last cannon. Fair enough. Last cannon is laser las. You know, it's a thinner point, isn't it? So I understand. But then again, if you're punching through armour, surely a smaller hole's better? I'm not sure. I'm not even going to get into that. But it does have twin last talons as well. So that's pretty nice. Really do like these. Also, it has the smoke screen keyword. Right, so, you know, we were talking about keywords earlier on. Things like Smoke screen. There we go. So we had the assault launchers keyword, and this is smoke screen. For 1 CP, anything with smoke screen, use the stratagem in your opponent's shooting phase. When an Adeptus Astartes smoke screen unit from the army selected as the target of the attack, until the end of that phase, each time the attack is made, subtract 1 from the hit rolls. They're smoke grenades, like you used to get for free, but now you spend a CP. Why? Because you can still shoot in your turn, whereas before, if you popped smoke grenades, you could not shoot. So if you had a Rhino, you would advance it, pop smoke because you didn't care about shooting. That thing, you care about shooting. In my opinion, that's far, far better. So we've seen Repulsors, we've seen Executioners, that big fat cannon, that's +1 to hit, it's nice. Don't think a lot has changed here with the Rhinos. But a single tier has fallen when I look at my Storm Talon. I love my Storm Talons. I could have loads on the table. I love them. Because of Strafe and Run. Not there anymore, that I believe. So Strafe and Run basically was making you shoot on 2s if the thing you're trying to gun down wasn't a flyer. It was too powerful. Hands up now, it was too powerful. That's why I was using it, because it was a little bit broken. When you've got assault cannons hitting on 2s, gunning down small guardsmen, things like that. Yeah, it put a smile on my face. Alright, okay, yes it did. But, yeah, you know. I personally am going to use more drop pods now. Because you can drop them in at any turn, which is nice. And it always bothered me why you couldn't drop them in the first turn previously. Because in all the fluff, drop pods always came down first. So why couldn't you drop them down in the first turn? I'm mainly using them because the secondaries. You can get Line Breaker for 4 points. You just need 2 things in your opponent's deployment zone. So that with some Marines inside, fairly cheap. Because 4 points in a turn is nice. So even if it gets destroyed the following turn, put another drop pod in if you can, with another lot of Marines, another 4 points. I'm fine with sacrificing Marines if it means I'm getting 4 points a turn. So hopefully 2 drop pods, 2 units of cheap Marines. It's 8 points in a game. I think that's quite a big deal. Because in a turn, 4 points can be quite a big deal. Because you cannot score more than 4 with Line Breaker in a turn. So that's just my advice. That's what I'm going to do. And the Hammerfall Bunker is the last of the new hotness that's in this book anyway. I'm not saying there's going to be another book out. I'm not getting bitter. It's fine. Anyway. So, this thing is a bit of a beast. Okay, Ballistic Skills 4, which is fair enough because, yeah, I mean, it's probably got servitors inside shooting. So, you've got the Heavy Bolter Array, range 36, Heavy 3, Strength 5. It's basically Heavy Bolters now do 2 damage. Why wouldn't it? It's a massive bolt round. You know, it's about as big as a a Primaris fist. You know, it's pretty good. So I do think bolters are nice. Bolters are in a bit of a better place now. You know, because things like my Battle Predator, I always thought, why wouldn't you take bolters over flamers? Flamers auto hit, less range, but now bolters, a bit more of a marine killer with 2 wounds, 2 damage a time. It's pretty nice. They also have the heavy flamer array. So heavy flamers range 12. Some of the flamers are range 8 before. So overwatching's a bit more viable. So if they're 9 inches away, that 8-inch wall of fire apparently couldn't hit anything. Is what it is. So it's defensive array. So you notice there is no movement in your shooting phase each time this model is selected to shoot its hammer, fall, heavy bolter array or flamer. Can target and resolve attacks against every eligible enemy unit. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So each time this model fires Overwatch, it only resolves attacks with its weapons against the charging unit. But when doing so, type of heavy hammerfall heavy bolter array is changed to heavy 6, which is pretty nice. So you get more shots. That's pretty cool. Which is just as well, because you could plonk it on the table. You could put it in a really bad place. It might not do anything. People might just ignore it. But they're not going to ignore it when you've got missiles at 72. See, flamers range 12, yes, it's been improved. But I would probably use the bolters and those purely because people then have to take care of it. And at range 72, 72 is really far. You're covering the whole of the table. So I could put it right in the corner and just annoy people, which is wicked. So then they are going to try to deal with it, and if they are a close combat army and they're going to charge it, then they're going to get a lot more shots in the face. So if they did charge it, heavy 6 rather than heavy 3 shots are coming at them. Or if you're using the flamer, it's 2d6 rather than 1d6 per flamer. This is. So that's a big thing. So if they've got a charging army, close combat army, do they really want to deal with it? If they don't, they're going to get shot lots throughout the whole game. I think it's pretty cool. I do like the model. It is very Dawn of War. Okay, and at the back we have our weapon profiles, which does explain a lot about blast weapons, things like that. Usual range weapons at the back of the book. Bit of an index there. And you have your close combat as well. Glorious Blood Angels. That's what makes the book. Glorious Blood Angels. And here are your points values. So a lot of things have changed in points. I'm not going to cover it all. I think this book has got some real good changes. Personally, me, for Death Company, 2 wounds each is pretty nice. I'm sure that's going to happen. I can't see it in the book because I can't cover everything, obviously. I don't understand why scouts are in elites. I don't. But hey ho. Transhuman physiology makes sense fluff-wise. Alright, you can't put it on everything, but it makes sense fluff-wise, so I'm happy with that. I do like the minimum damage for melters. That's a good deal. And I do like the fact that everything seems to have a place now. So you've got your Judicator, which has a bit of a debuff there. So you're making things attack last. So then you can wail on everything with it. If something's already engaged in combat, after everything's charged now, the thing that's engaged in combat doesn't get to attack first. Your opponent gets to attack first now. So you can shut down that ability. So if you've got your close combat unit, it's charged in, it's failed to kill something, in the following turn it's still alive, get that Judicator out there, and now they do get to attack first, so they might survive, maybe. So everything's got that little place in the army, and I think it's more stackable, because remember in this edition you can't stack the minuses and the pluses and things that you used to. I like the fact that captains, for example, can't buff tanks, you know, the whole core keyword. I do like that. It does make sense to me. I know Dreadnoughts have lost the rapid fire, for example, but the fact that they take 1 less damage to a minimum of 1, that's strong. I like that. I like my Dreadnoughts anyway. So yeah, all the points changes. Like I said, I'm not going to cover it. There is a big deal of points changes. And a little bit in the old glossary. And a bit in reference. So if you don't know what Shock Assault is, things like that, Each model in this unit makes 1 additional melee attack if this unit made a charge move or was charged or performed a heroic intervention. Things like that. So that has not changed in this codex. This codex is amazing. There is so much to cover, and I'm sorry if I've droned on for a long time, but it's weighty. That's a hell of a book. Thank you very much for watching. As always, please hit that like button, and if you haven't done already, please subscribe.